Have you heard about stem cells? I'm sure. Meanwhile, I wish to share with you my knowledge about stem cells, how magic they are, and how they are changing the medical world. To understand what are stem cells, let's go back to life. How life is starting. Life between humans is starting by the fusion between the female ovule and the male spermatozoid. It takes millions of spermatozoids to select the lucky one to win the right of joining the female ovule. And guess what? When they join, they form the first embryonic stem cell. With this cell, life started. This cell has a tremendous power. It will duplicate in two cells, one identical to the original, and one going to form the first embryonic tissue. A tissue is a group of identical cells. After several days and several cells division, the three major embryonic tissue are ready to work. Each one is responsible for creating family of adult stem cells, which are going to form specialized cells as brain cells, cardiac cells, or muscle cells. The big difference between embryonic and adult stem cells is that the embryonic has unlimited power of giving birth to any specialized cells, while the adult ones can induce only the one which are part of the tissue where they originated from. The use of embryonic stem cells is regulated by health authority for two reasons. The first one is that in order to get embryonic stem cells, we have to use embryos. And this is creating a debate and criticism. This reason, by the way, is no longer accurate because Japanese scientists find a way to generate embryonic stem cells from adult skin cells, resolving the ethical debate. The second reason is that embryonic stem cells are so powerful that it may be possible with them to clone human cells, and that's create a huge debate. But let's come back to life. After 9 months, the baby born, with more than 200 different specialized cells family produced by stem cells. It is not finished, because nature is always anticipating what? Shortage. During life, shortage of specialized cells which die or do not replicate. We need a solution, and stem cells are the solution. Nature has provided storage in all parts of our body to store stem cells, especially in the bone marrow, in the skin, and guess what? In the abdominal fat. This is now that the story becomes really exciting. How or what if we can extract those stem cells and use them for treating diseases? Do you know that has been done many decades ago? It's called bone marrow transplant, which is in fact a stem cells transplant. This protocol is used for patients with severe leukemia, in which we start by eradicating cells from the bone marrow, leaving the patient with no defense, no immune cells, and this is why he is confined in a sterile environment. Once done, we are looking for the proper donor which has similar genes in order to avoid transplant rejection, and the donor stem cells are injected to replace the cancerous one. This protocol has two major issues. One is to find the proper donor, and the second one is to avoid tissue rejection using aggressive immunosuppressing agent. Today, the use of stem cells has almost revolutionized medicine, creating a new discipline called regenerative medicine. The goal is to find the proper stem cells which will be injected in specific area to become the specialized cells we want. Regenerative medicine is the future of medicine. Every function, every organ will be the target of stem cell therapy. It has already started with sport medicine, where athletes used their own stem cells to treat joint problems, especially cartilage dysfunction. Some professional athletes will be in the market several years more than usual, thanks to regular injection of stem cells in their joint. Cardiac transplant will be reduced thanks to the use of stem cells in the heart. Israeli scientists have successfully treated some blindness with stem cells. Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, and even autism are under stem cells trial today. Diabetes type 2 and very soon diabetes type 1 will be successfully treated with stem cells. Knee and other joint prostheses will not be anymore used. What about skin? Treating burns with stem cells transplant is a big success today. So where Jeunesse is standing with the stem cell revolution? We will see in our next episode how we are using the stem cells thanks to the work of Dr. Nathan Newman. If you have seen the previous episode, you should be aware of stem cells. If you haven't, I urge you to do so before looking at this one. Luminous serum has been formulated by Dr. Nathan Newman, a cosmetic surgeon and a dermatologist. He practiced in Beverly Hills, in Los Angeles, and he is a pioneer in stem cells technology. He became very famous with his patented technology called stem cell lift. The idea of using stem cells extracted from the fat came while he was practicing liposuction on his patient. Having studied stem cells, he knew that abdominal fat was one of the best reservoirs of stem cells. And he was sorry to see all these precious cells being sucked and finishing in the garbage. The problem was that the equipment designed for liposuction was too aggressive for the stem cells, which couldn't survive. He decided then to design a specific equipment and a specific protocol to gently extract the fat without destroying the stem cells. Once the fat is extracted manually with a syringe, he will then separate the fat from the stem cells by a process called centrifugation. And he will re-inject the stem cells within a sterile environment to the same patient from whom he extracted the fat. The protocol of re-injection is based on specific criteria and on desired target. Dr. Newman became famous and attracted all the media to his clinic because result was almost unbelievable. Also, the fact to be in Beverly Hills, the mecca of the Hollywood stars, made him much more famous. So, what that has to do with Jeunesse? We cannot use this protocol because it is a medical protocol. So where is the link? The link comes from Randy Ray, who became Dr. Newman's patient. Randy was supposed to go on surgery for his knee, but he wanted to try first stem cells injection, and this is why he frequently visited Dr. Newman's office. One day, while waiting in Nathan's office, he saw a small bottle on the desk and immediately thought that Dr. Newman was formulating a kind of stem cells, a kind of serum to add or to replace his protocol. Randy saw immediately this enormous opportunity and asked Dr. Newman if he can get the license to sell his stem cells. Nathan smiled and told him, "There is no stem cells in this bottle because they are living cells, and once you put them out of the environment or not in a proper nutritional gel, they will not survive." Randy was so disappointed that Nathan had some good news. There is no stem cells in this serum, but everything in this formula is produced by stem cells. "What do you mean by produced by stem cells?" say Randy. "The serum is a byproduct of stem cells. It is full of growth factor," said Newman. Randy never heard about growth factor. He heard about growth hormone, but Nathan told him that has nothing to do with growth factors. So what are they? How do they work? And what are the link with stem cells? To understand how the serum works, it is very important to understand the difference and the link between growth factors and stem cells. First, the difference. Growth factors are molecules and not living cells. Molecules can survive out of the body. They can be applied on the skin, and they do their job on the skin. Not the stem cells. They cannot. Second, the link. Growth factors are signaling molecules. They are released by stem cells to give a signal to the skin cells. Each growth factor has a specific signal to send, which will lead to a specific job within the skin cells. For instance, the transforming growth factor beta will give a signal for stimulating collagen secretion. The keratinocyte growth factor will send a signal to stimulate epithelial cells growth. The interleukin will send a signal to reduce inflammation. All growth factors will act in synergy to repair, to replace, or regenerate skin cells when they apply to the skin. Now, let's go back to the luminous serum. After extracting stem cells from the fat, Dr. Newman is placing a very small quantity in a Petri dish, which is a nutritional gel, and he will wait several days. What stem cells are doing when they are in a proper nutritional environment? They multiply very fast and they talk a lot between them. What do they talk about? Well, they talk about growth factor. More precisely, they send a lot of signals outside of the cells, releasing many growth factors within the media gel. After several days, Dr. Newman takes out the media gel, which contains all the growth factor. He will filter the gel, eliminating all stem cells, and that's it. This is what we have in the serum. more than 200 different growth factors, nothing else. So what they will do on the skin, they stimulate all the biochemical pathways that promote skin tissue repair and regeneration. How does it work? Luminous serum has multiple effects. It reduces the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles as a result of new collagen synthesis. It improves the appearance of age spots and even out pigmentation. It reduces skin roughness. It improves skin texture and elasticity. It improves skin smoothness and tightness. Easy to use, twice a day. After proper cleansing, you apply a small quantity on your face and neck, and once dried, you apply on the day cream in the day and the night cream in the evening. Luminous serum is exclusive to Jeunesse. There is no one product in the market which can be compared. My name is William. Obesity, or should I say globesity. Today, obesity is a worldwide epidemic disease. There is an outrageous eruption of a worldwide obesity even in the countries where not so long ago famine was the #1 health issue. The fatness of the world is changing rapidly, and this is very disturbing because it's going out of proportion and nobody can get any control of this new epidemic. Many children become obese and then become obese adults. The diseases associated with obesity, such as heart disease, cancer, and especially diabetes, will explode. That will mean a lot of sick people all over the world. The cost in terms of death, diseases, and money spending is just astronomical. Think about today. There is in the world about 3 billion people overweight and 800 million real obese. The cost of obesity in the United States is about 150 billion per year, which is 10% of the total US medical cost. So what is the difference between overweight and obese? Overweight means that you gain only a few kilos above standard, from 1 to 15 kilos for adults. Above this threshold, you're considered as obese. If you wish to get more detailed information, then you have to calculate your BMI, which means your body mass index, by using the following formula: your weight in kilo divided by your height in square meters. If your BMI shows score under 18.5 per square meter, it means that you need to gain weight. You are underweight. If it is between 18.5 and 25, you are in normal standard. Between 25 and 30, you are overweight, and above 30, you are qualified for obesity. Note that BMI is a standard tool which do not apply in extremes like very tall people or very small people, and also should be adapted to children. Why people become obese? It is very simple in theory, but become more complicated when we reach fat metabolism. We are gaining weight or fat when we eat more that we spend in terms of calorie, or when we spend less than we eat in terms of calorie. So how do we get energy? The body will get energy only from the food, knowing that 1 gram of carbohydrate will release 4 calories, same for proteins, but 1 gram of fat will release 9 calories. So all depend on how much you eat and what kind of food you eat. If the food is rich in fat or in protein or in sugars. Now, how do we spend energy? There are 3 ways to spend energy. The first one is what we call basal metabolism, which is the necessary energy required to get our body working and all our million of chemical reactions working, and working properly. This requires approximately 1 calorie per kilo and per hour. So, if you weigh 60 kilo, you will spend in 24 hours 60 multiplied by 24 equal 1,440 calories per day. And this is good news because you have no control on that. The second spending is the necessary energy to fight against heat or cold. And these depend on the environment and the way that you are protected against heat or cold. It is called thermogenesis. And again, you have little control on that. The third one is the energy required to move your body, and that is entirely up to you. This is to say that physical activity is the only controllable way to spend energy. We will see later that this very simple way of gaining or losing weight is influenced by many, many other factors, and especially the control of fat metabolism by a sophisticated group of hormones. So why such epidemic? To understand, we have to go back 20,000 years ago. As surprising that it can be, our genes have not changed for the last 20,000 years. At this time, life for humans was quite difficult. In fact, life was based on food availability, and food was really available only during spring and summer. The rest of the time, no food, almost famine. Our genes has to adapt and to work in accordance with this alternance of abundance and famine, and they create a kind of energy storage. The fat cell was born. This cell has the capacity to storage all kind of energy derived from fat, from carbohydrates, and even proteins. It can increase 50-fold its size and retain energy in the form of triglycerides. Because of uncertainty of food availability, our genes were oriented toward the saving mode, which means that every time we eat, all the energy coming from the food was oriented in the storage facility. What happened 20,000 years later? Our genes are still oriented towards saving mode, but there is no more famine. On the contrary, the new society offers an extreme abundance of food rich in calories, and that all over the year. And guess what happened? Everything is going first in storage. And once in storage, it is very difficult to get out. You understand now why it is very difficult today not to gain weight or fat. But there is another factor. 20,000 years ago, in order to bring food at home, men were hunting, fishing, or climbing trees to get fruits. And that was a huge energy spending mode. Today, with a new technology created for lifting heavy items or escalator or elevator, we reduce drastically our energy spending. You understand now why it is so easy to gain weight or fat. What are the consequences of obesity in terms of health and longevity? To make a long story short, it is a disaster. Being and staying obese will lead to a long list of chronic diseases, including cardiovascular disease, diabetes, cancer, metabolic syndrome, and consequently a drastic shortening of life. That will not account for the uncomfortable physical, emotional, and mental consequences of being heavy for ourselves and for our relationship. In terms of aging, obesity is shortening telomeres, increasing DNA damage, and reducing stem cell pool. So what to do for reducing obesity? Obviously, it is quite difficult considering the worldwide effort of the medical community with so small results. Health authorities are repeatedly organizing campaigns to inform people about the consequences of eating too much sugar or fat or the lack of exercise. But the food industry until now do not help and still putting on the market food rich in bad sugar and bad fat. The first step is to be convinced that improving your lifestyle, which means improving your nutrition, your physical activity, managing your stress and your emotion, in order to stop impulsive eating, will be a very good action to preserve your life and your longevity. The second step will be to use specific food supplements to help managing your fat metabolism and rebuild the muscles that you lose when lacking exercise. This is why Jeunesse decided to create a new line of product specially designed to counteract craving, to help fat metabolism, and to reduce muscle loss. Be with us in our next episode dedicated to the Zen Body line. My name is Zen Body. Zen Body for what? Zen Body for losing fat, not losing weight. So what is the difference between losing fat and losing weight? To understand the difference, let's see how our body composition is. Our body is made of 3 parts. The most important part is water, which represents 60 to 70% of the total weight. Then the lean mass, which is essentially muscles and bones, and represent 20 to 30% of the total weight. And finally, the fat mass, representing from 5 to 30% of the total weight, depending on your corpulence. When we lose weight, we lose mainly water, muscles, and fat, And this is not good because we need the water, and obviously we don't want to lose muscles. So scientists try to find out a way of losing fat without losing muscles, taking in consideration that we can always drink water. So what happens when we eat food in terms of energy? Food are broken down into macronutrients, which are basically protein, fat, and carbohydrate, and in micronutrients, which are vitamins, minerals, and trace elements. All those nutrients cross the intestinal barrier and go to the blood. Carbohydrates are going first in small storage place in the liver and are stored in the form of glycogen. But the space is limited. All that is controlled and managed by a couple of opposite hormones called insulin and glucagon. But if we don't need immediate energy, or if the liver storage is full, then the carbohydrates are converted into fat and are directed into the fat cells. This is the way to gain weight by eating too much pasta, pizza, cookies, bread, sugar, and sugar drinks. Protein are sent where is needed, but if necessary, they can be converted to fat too. Fat are usually sent directly to the fat cells, and more fat you eat, more fat you keep. Now, what happens when the fat is inside the fat cells? As I told you, our genes are oriented to saving energy and will be reluctant to let it go out from the cell. This is why nature built a sophisticated network of hormones controlling the entry and the exit of fat from the fat cell. The most important hormones are the ones controlling our hunger, and as usual in human physiology, we have two opposite hormones. The ghrelin, which is the hunger hormone, which means that when your stomach is empty, this hormone is released and asks you to eat. The leptin, which is the satiety hormone, which means that when your stomach is full, the hormone is released and asks you to stop eating. Adiponectin is an hormone exclusively produced in the fat tissue, and it's acting in partnership with leptin and with insulin. G3PDH is not a hormone, it is an enzyme, and this is a bad guy. Because when released, all carbohydrate will be converted to fat. Norepinephrine is an hormone which increases thermogenesis, which means heat production by the body, and consequently will help to burn more fat. So what happens when we become obese? Our fat tissue, especially the abdominal one, becomes the reservoir of very aggressive molecules which are creating a silent inflammation syndrome. What means that? It means that those bad molecules will bind with leptin and insulin, stopping them to do their job. They will create a vicious circle where leptin cannot play the satiety role, and you will feel hungry all the time. Then you eat a lot, but insulin cannot play the role with sugar and fat. Sugar will increase in the blood, creating diabetes type 2. adiponectin, which is partnered with leptin, is not anymore functional. It is a mess which will lead to a lot of chronic diseases, including diabetes and cancer. This is why Jeunesse created Zen Body, a line of 3 products designed to help you to lose fat while keeping as much as possible your lean mass intact. Zen Body is a line of 3 products designed for 3 targets: stop craving, start burning fat, rebuild muscles. Let's see the first one, Zen Shape. Zen Shape is designed to help you regain leptin and adiponectin appropriate levels to avoid craving and hunger. The major ingredient is Ervingia gabonensis, known as African mango. Combined with green tea and raspberry ketone, this is the best things you can try if you do have a big appetite. African mango will help you to regulate leptin level. Raspberry ketone search for all the fat cells in your body and make them available for use as energy by increasing the level of adiponectin. Green tea will support epinephrine levels and help burning fat. The 3 ingredients will reduce the level of G3-PDH and reduce the risk of converting sugar to fat. Zen Shape is presented in capsules, and we recommend to take 2 capsules twice a day, if possible before meals. Any pregnant or lactating woman or anybody with medical condition should consult his physician before taking Zen Shape. Then look at the second one, Zen Fit. Zen Fit has been designed to help minimizing muscle loss and regaining muscle that has been lost. It is an amino drink in a stick pack. You mix 1 stick pack with 300 milliliters of cold water 30 to 60 minutes before your 2 main meal with your Zen Shapes capsules. Each stick contains 20 grams of high-quality proteins plus all the branch-chain amino acid plus extra L-leucine. Amino acids are essential to your health, but your body cannot produce them on its own. As we age, it is harder to build or maintain muscles even with exercise. However, studies have shown that what we need is more of the amino acid called L-leucine, and Zen Fit has it. L-tyrosine helps increase basal metabolism and maintain production of the thyroid gland, which can fall during period of dieting. Zen Fit has L-tyrosine. Branch amino acids are especially important to be able to spare or build muscle that has been stimulated by exercise. Zen Fit has it. Finally, amino acids also activate neurotransmitter in the brain, which can elevate your mood. Let's go to the next one and the last one, Zen Pro. Protein is the ultimate muscle fuel. That's why we have incorporated in Zen Pro a premium protein blend of whey, rice, pea, and chia seed powder. The Zen Pro formula also incorporates a probiotic blend of healthy bacteria to optimize digestion and help you to stay lean. You mix one packet with 300 milliliters of cold water or rice or almond milk and have a snack or two any time in the day. How to see results? Usually you jump every day on your scale to watch the progress. Don't do that with Zen Body. Use another tool. The first things to do is to find out if you have too much fat. And for that, there is many tools, some very expensive. But the best one, the most accurate, is a tape in centimeter to measure the waist circumference. Be sure to get a tape of adequate length and place the tape at the level of the belly button. For a woman, a waist circumference under 80 centimeters is healthy. If it is between 80 and 88, there are some risk, but still rapidly reversible. Above 88 centimeters, risk of cardiovascular disease and other chronic disease are quite important. For men, your health is at risk above 94 centimeters, and this risk is quite high, above 102 centimeters. Your waist circumference will be your guide during the trip to better health. Meanwhile, if you wish to go to a maximum value and maximum result from Zen Body, you should improve your lifestyle. Instantly ageless. Is it magic? Yes, it is magic for millions of us. But there is also some science behind. Let me start by wrinkles. You know, elephants don't mind having thousands of lines across their skin. But for human beings, this is another story. One single wrinkle can send some people into a panic. Do you know how wrinkles become visible? Especially the ones we call expression wrinkles. If you look at the skin with a microscope, what do you see? Skin consists of two layers. The superficial one is the epidermis, which is made up mainly of dead skin cells that protect the body from outside elements. The next layer is a dermis, which contains a kind of protein called collagen, as well as fibers that give skin its elasticity. Wrinkles form in both the epidermis and the dermis, and their appearance depends where they form. As you age, your epidermis lost its ability to keep moisture, which lead to fine lines in the skin's surface. Deeper in the skin, collagen and elastin break down, which weaken the skin support structure. At the same time, fat start to disappear from the skin's deepest layers, which lead to sagging. Together, this effect creates deeper wrinkles, like frown lines, and furrows. In the 90s, Dr. Alan Scott, a San Francisco ophthalmologist, was looking for a cure for crossed eyes. He found it, but what he also found was an unexpected benefit of his magical injection. On his patient face, wrinkle was disappearing. The drug Dr. Scott invented was botulinum toxin, which is the chemical name for a very known trademark product. You might be surprised to learn that botulinum toxin is made from a purified, mostly harmless neurotoxin that causes a disease called botulism. Botulism is a form of food poisoning that occurs when someone eats something containing a neurotoxin produced by the bacterium Clostridium botulinum. So, botulinum toxin became available and made it possible for people to do something on their face without getting surgery. And since its FDA approval for cosmetic use, botulinum toxin is now the #1 cosmetic medical treatment in USA, with nearly 6 million procedures per year. In fact, some people are even hosting botulinum toxin parties, where several women and men, yes, men, gather together for cocktail and injection. Unfortunately, some patients and some practitioners overuse botulinum, and when more become too much, the result is what's come to be called frozen face, in which the user loses any facial expression. So what happens when botulinum toxin is injected into the muscle surrounding the brow area, for instance? Those muscles cannot scrunch up for a period of time. They are paralyzed. So the wrinkles in that area, often referred to as furrow or frown line, temporarily go away. But what botulinum toxin has to do with instant ageless? The major ingredient of instant ageless is called arginine. Arginine is a trademark for a special peptide. By the way, peptides are portions of proteins. Botulinum toxin, and especially botulinum toxin A, is also a peptide almost identical. Both peptides modulate muscle contraction, but while botulinum toxin will break down the neurotransmitter called acetylcholine sent from the nerve to the muscle, arginine will prevent this neurotransmitter to be released, and this mechanism makes all the difference. Because with the botulinum toxin, muscle is paralyzed, while with arginine, the muscle is relaxed. This is why arginine and instant ageless will reduce wrinkle formation, will minimize the depth, the volume, and the length of existing wrinkles and expression lines, as well as skin roughness. Arginine also works by promoting the creation of elastin and collagen, which often decrease the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles. The increased loss of collagen and elastin in the skin is, however, a natural aging process. But with arginine, there is a decreased rate of which skin collagen is lost. This leads to younger, healthier skin appearance over an extended period of time. Tests have demonstrated that arginine is safe and effective to use for wrinkles. The International Journal of Cosmetic Science published in November 2002 a study in which female participants used a product that contained 10% arginine for 30 days. They found their wrinkle was reduced up to 30%. The National Institute of Health in Spain also published a skin study with similar results. University Miguel Hernandez published a skincare report of the effect of arginine ingredient on the skin. The report concluded that this hexapeptide represents a bio-self alternative to botulinum toxin in cosmetics. Back to instantly ageless now. Why instant? Instant means immediate. How immediate? Instant ageless is presented in a microcream which immediately dissolve in the skin, and results start to be visible within a minute. Instant ageless contain also other ingredients as sodium and magnesium silicate, a blend of two different silicates which when combined promote lightening effect on the skin. They retract skin pores, and pores appear smaller and wrinkles look lifted. How to use it? Well, it's easy. Just pat a very thin layer to targeted area, then leave damp on skin and remain expressionless for about 2-3 minutes while product dries. Instant ageless can be applied on a clean area before or after makeup. One vial typically lasts 2 to 3 days depending on individual use. Use it as directed and avoid contact with eyes. If the product gets into eyes, just flush with water. You have to discontinue use if redness or irritation will occur. And consult your physician if you are allergic to cosmetics. Instant ageless is unique. Instant ageless, it's magic. But instant ageless is based on clinical evidence.